Hello there. Very strange. Labour's gone from an only 24 hours to save the NHS mode to a mode of only 24 hours to reform the NHS. Now, if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. Click the little bell, select all, and then like and comment below. Oh, and Richard has a short housekeeping message for you at the end of the video. Just a few months or even weeks ago, according to Labour, even the mere thought of rearranging even a single hair on the head of the NHS was tantamount to treason and a crime against humanity. But now we have the Labour Party leader Keir Starmer saying he'll tackle NHS bureaucratic nonsense and that our health service must reform or die. Now, big point to note, healthcare is a devolved matter, so all he can do is talk about NHS England. And more on that in a moment, apart from pointing out that Labour could do all this in Wales anyway, because they run the NHS there. So why aren't they doing it? Now remember that reform means change. And had a Tory Prime Minister uttered these words, the whole lefty establishment and media would have reared up and screeched in unison, "You want to privatise the NHS." But as the Labour Party is seen as the creator of the NHS because of Nye Bevan, then Keir Starmer is more safe and able to put NHS and reform in the same sentence. Although I have to point out that it was a Tory MP, Henry Willink, who was the Health Secretary at the time, who announced the creation of the NHS back in 1944. It was a cross-party thing that everyone supported, so it would have happened whoever was in power after the war. But hey-ho, to the victor the spoils, as they say. And if you doubt me on this, I've left a link in the descriptions box below to a video of a cinema news piece on this. It always winds the lefties up a treat. Anyway, Starmer had a right go at NHS administrative procedures, saying in a Telegraph article that every patient will have their own experience of these mundane inconveniences and inefficiencies. Across the system and across the country, each one adds up, resulting in a mind-boggling waste of time, energy and money, all of which could be better spent. And Starmer also says that Labour's job is not to just defend public services and throw taxpayers' money at them. I have never believed that. Labour's job is to drive up standards so that services don't need defending. Now, the last time Labour decided to do a bit of reforming of the NHS, we ended up with no out-of-hours GPs and hugely expensive PFI hospitals. Starmer also says he wants to get GPs back under the NHS umbrella as paid employees of the service, instead of running their own private setup that provides services to the NHS. But I've read comment by experts in this field that directly employing GPs would actually destroy a model that works. Although if patients can't see a GP, can the system be said to be working right now? At the end of the day, though, will Starmer have the clout to get his reforms through? Or will he fall foul of various unions and even his own backbenchers after he's unveiled his full plans? Well, according to City AM, because there is currently a limit of 15 years that people can claim non-dom status and reduce their tax bill to sometimes almost nil, those that get near the 15-year point leave the country. So one assumes, therefore, that these rich people have other options. So if Starmer does end non-dom status, will they all exit stage right, taking their money with them, so leaving the taxman with zero income from them? But the lefties would rather they did that than having wealthy foreign people spending freely in the UK and providing VAT to the Exchequer and providing jobs. No, it's not ideal, but we've lived with non-dom status since the French Revolution, and Labour already has had many an opportunity to scrap it. Now, as I said at the start, if he gets the keys to number 10, Keir Starmer will only be in a position to reform the NHS in England. And hasn't Labour been pushing the idea of more devolution, including within England? How would that tie in with this seeming Westminster top-down reform of the NHS? Well, deep within the devolution report from Gordon Brown, on which Starmer is basing his plans, there is a new solidarity clause that would place an obligation on Westminster and the devolved administrations, together with their departments, to cooperate in the interests of the public. It sounds logical, but it sets up a whole new raft of administrators to oversee it all. And bear in mind, the last thing that the SNP, Plaid and Sinn Féin want is better cooperation with Westminster. And now we have another viewer's question, this time about Ukraine.
Hi, it's Sandro. Will the Ukrainians be repaying the money to the UK and other countries in the same way as World War II? The UK repaid the United States?
Now, this issue actually has two facets to it. Just prior to Russia further annexing parts of Ukraine last year to add to the territory it had already taken in 2014, the UK set up a credit agreement with Ukraine on the 12th of November 2021. This, says the House of Lords Library, would provide a framework for a £1.7 billion loan package to enable Ukraine to purchase 2 British minesweeper vessels and for specified UK contractors to work with Ukraine to build 8 missile ships, a frigate, and to retrofit UK weapon systems to existing Ukrainian naval vessels. Additionally, the agreement includes consultancy and technical support for the building of naval infrastructure, including the delivery of equipment. Now, that agreement is included on the UK Parliament list of international treaties, so I assume the loan for that is repayable. Except I doubt any of those transactions have taken place, so maybe no money or very little is owing at the moment. But there seems to be no other treaty or agreement we've subsequently signed with Ukraine. And it's on the record that we've already given them about $2.3 billion in weapons and defence materiel alone. And from what I've seen, the government says that it's going to be matched this year, so by the end of 2023 we'll have sent nearly £5 billion in defence assets to Ukraine. And without evidence of some sort of agreement, I'm assuming that weaponry is being donated. Now, some weapons, like shells and missiles, have end-of-life dates, by which they need to be replaced or have the explosives and propellants in them replaced. And it may be that we're sending Ukraine some of our older stock that is due to be replaced anyway. And being cynical or realistic, whichever way you view it, this is a good testing ground for our munitions. Now, you can argue the geopolitics of this until the cows come home, and claim and counterclaim the dubious politics and obvious shortcomings of both Russia and Ukraine, and whether or not the UK should or should not be involved. But there is one geopolitical reality we should all be aware of. And that is, if Ukraine falls, the UK will see no reward. But if Ukraine prevails, the UK will be showered with thanks, but that's about all we'll get. Because Ukraine will cosy up to the US because it wants to get into NATO, and will cosy up to the EU for member state accession funding to rebuild its shattered country. And if we were still in the EU, we'd be paying for that and still probably not getting the full benefits of it. And you never know what will happen on the 31st of March next year, 15 months away, when the Ukrainians are due for their next presidential election. Quick answer to the question, though, I don't think we'll be getting much back except possibly peace in Europe and the thanks of a grateful nation, which for many might translate as money well spent. Now don't forget to leave us your question on 07999 297 611 and we might play it out and answer it on the show. And please also send us links to videos of interest to jeff@jefftaylor.tube. And now over to Richard for his short housekeeping message.
Thank you, Jeff, and this is a very quick message on behalf of Jeff and myself to thank you all for the questions you have left in our answering machine mailbox. We're trying to get through as many as possible, and if we don't answer, it's because we don't reply to your question, it's because either there's just so many coming in, or it's because we can't actually approach the subject matter that you want us to, in case we fall foul of the algorithm of the platform, we shall say. Got to be careful these days. Anyway, but, please just leave your messages, and some lovely supportive messages on there as well. So, again, on behalf of Jeff and myself and everyone else, just like to say thank you. Okay, you all take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Bye for now.
And thank you, Richard. And finally, when subscribing, please don't forget to press that little bell and also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. And thank you all so much for taking the time to watch the show.